Coming up in this episode of the Innovating Higher Ed podcast, Dr. Norma Jones welcomes Professor Scott James from Santiago Canyon College, an educator transforming classrooms with AI. You'll discover the benefits of using accurate, transparent chatbots tailored specifically to your course, potentially saving you hours each week. Explore insights on redesigning assessments to maintain academic integrity and boost student engagement in the ChatGPT era. Professor James also shares insights on using assistive technologies to effectively support students with ADHD, dyslexia, or visual impairments. Real solutions, tangible benefits. Join us as we boldly explore new frontiers in educational innovation.
Scott James, how are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
We first met at, was it the Summit event in Cupertino?
Yep. The Chancellor's Office's Future Summit.
It's actually crazy how quickly AI has evolved even since then. That was what, September?
Yeah, I think so.
And what is so amazing, I want to tie this back to, if you don't mind, your initial start. Could you describe your work in the disabled students programs, specifically how you use technology to engage students and support those with dyslexia?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I started my community college career as an alternate media specialist in the disabled student program. And what I did was I taught students with learning disabilities or even physical impairments like visual disabilities, things like that, how to use the computer to help them overcome their disabilities. You know, like my students who are vision impaired, they would use the computer. I teach them how to use the computer without a mouse or a screen, right? So they would actually just use it auditorily. They'd use all the hotkeys on the keyboard, and they would use the text-to-speech and all of the accessibility features within the operating system to help them understand their materials. And then I'd convert their textbooks into Braille and electronic text so that they could use text-to-speech and things of that nature. And so they would come in initially, you know, using text-to-speech at a pretty slow rate. But by the end of their time at the college with us, when they were ready to transfer, I remember one of my students, he was using text-to-speech at such a rate that I couldn't understand it. It was so fast. And I was like, oh my God. It was like I don't know, it was like a little mini superpower that he had because he could consume information so much quicker than typical reading speed. And over the years, I totally got used to it. And now I actually use text-to-speech in my daily career because it allows me to read probably 2 to 3 times faster than I can visually. And I just, for some whatever reason, it just works for me. My learning style is very auditory. So like my auditory processing is really fast. So it just works really well for me. And so when AI came around, when I started using it, I was like, okay, this is an assistive technology. You know, it's just like text-to-speech in that it allows you to use something to make you faster and make you motivated and make you like really get to the learning so much quicker in certain instances. Now, obviously, it can be used for harm as well. Like I was just literally yesterday, I was talking to my daughter, and I'm really concerned that we're going to have like a generation of students that are going to be coming to college right now that because of the COVID lockdown, they didn't learn a lot. And then also AI came on, and there was some tools too during the COVID lockdown, like there's Google tools that would like, you just take a picture of your math problem and it'll solve it for you. And then there's like now AI. And my daughter was telling me that she's competing with students for college positions and knowing that these people, like in one instance, one of her classmates got accepted to UC Santa Barbara and she got on the wait list. She's got like a 4.7 GPA. She's got all the intangibles. She's got everything. And she's on the wait list for UC Santa Barbara. She's like did varsity sports. She's started a club. She's done charity work. She's on ASB, like the whole package, right? It's impossible to get into college these days. But the point is that she said that this person that got in has been using AI for their assignments, and that person's basic skills is not up to par. So I'm really concerned about the way that AI is being used in some ways But for other people, I've come to realize that AI is a really empowering tool, especially for people with ADHD who can use the tool to help organize themselves, motivate themselves. Get a lot of times when folks have ADHD, they have a hard time starting.
Mm-hmm.
They have a hard time just getting going and getting that momentum. But when they get that momentum, their brain is working so fast that they just like, then now all of a sudden they're gone. They're working really fast and furious. And so AI can really, I see it as a tool of empowerment aspirations, level learning tool that students can really use to elevate themselves beyond what they're, able to do inherently without it. So, I mean, there's a lot of issues to dive in on AI, but yeah, that's my background is that I see it from a position of accessibility and from a position of enabling people to meet their ultimate with a tool that can empower them, just like text to speech.
One thing we talked about in the past was how it elevates your natural abilities and to go beyond what our biology allows us to accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things. I think about this a lot recently. That movie, Hidden Figures?
Yes.
NASA hired a bunch of African American women who were
Mm-hmm.
geniuses. And back at that time, it was not an equitable environment. They didn't hire women, they didn't hire African Americans, right? But they were hiring African American because they were geniuses and they could do math at like unbelievable abilities. So they would hire them to do basically be human calculators. And now, when you think about it, the genius level ability that they had in the past is now automated by computers. And what they did is super special, and it's still super special, but it's no longer needed. And the computers are so much more accurate and faster. And so what they did is now considered a rote task, which is interesting, right? But that doesn't mean that their genius is any less valuable. Now they can actually like focus on doing higher level things. But it also begs the question, is writing now, because of AI, is writing becoming a rote task?
Yeah, if I may, because English is my second language, right? And when I want to write, my grammar is non-existent when I'm thinking, because I'm literally thinking in multiple languages. And so when it comes out, it's, for lack of a better term, it's Chinglish, right? It's English words, but in a Chinese grammatical structure, and my spelling is not that great. But AI can help me organize it in the way that I want to write or that I have been writing and in the way that I've been published. So in a way, it's making me a faster, more efficient writer. And
Yeah.
what you said too about the students who just all use AI, is that harmful, right? Because does that then harm this person's learning curve in writing?
Yeah. The way you're using it as an empowerment tool, because wasn't your first language, right? So it's empowering you to allow people to hear what you're actually trying to convey, right? And that's great. And then the way my daughter was talking about earlier is students were using it to cheat. That's our fundamental problem right now, I think, is how do we ensure that our students are having their basic skills, abilities, because it's obviously still very important to be able to learn to read and to write. And particularly now when computers are giving us all sorts of data and content, it's really important that we learn to read and critically analyze the information that we're being presented with, because, oh my gosh, like we could be presented with all sorts of falsehoods, bias, even really unproductive stuff. So that skill now of evaluating the content that's coming in is super important. But you also need those basic skills of being able to write yourself. And with obviously certain careers, creative writing is always going to be valued. But going through emails in my inbox and having my computer prioritize my emails and help me draft responses and maybe even help me start to work on certain things can free me up to do other stuff. So it's that balance of like, how do we manage ensuring that our students are learning and able to get to that higher level of analyzing and creating content that is accurate and that is free from bias and all those other problems like copyright and all of those things that we all know are issues with AI. So it's a fundamental question that I don't have the answer to, but that we all have to start thinking about. And as educators, I think that we are responsible for figuring out.
I really think this is so interesting because the world is kind of grappling with AI, but we in education, especially in higher ed, this is so in our wheelhouse because it's about learning these skills and having these skills so that they're transferable, usable, and not to be reliant on something else. And one thing I was just thinking, as you said about, the biology is I think about cars, right? We would not be able to commute the great distances that we do to go to work, to go to conventions, any of that without our vehicles.
Right.
And is that cheating? The last time we saw each other was in San Diego, and I'm in LA County. Now, if I tried to walk that, I would have had to start on a Wednesday to get down there.
Right.
Right? It's a long walk.
It enables people to get other places fast, right? So it's a super good way to think about it, I think, in terms of its enabling capabilities. Yeah, that's a good analogy. And if you sit around and don't exercise and don't walk and don't run, and you just allow a car to take you around everywhere, that's going to be super damaging to your body. And so we got to think about exercising the brain too. And so we're going to have to do those fundamental skills. But how do we outreach to those students who are just trying to check a checkbox with college? I think that maybe it begs the question about restructuring college to make it more motivating and practical for our students, where they're using AI as well, but also getting those fundamental skills that they need and buying into that, those mental reps that they need to do when they're working their brains.
I love that. And I know we're going to skip around a little bit, but could we talk about the chatbot that you created that helps teachers? Because right now, teachers, we're hitting roadblocks. I've been teaching like this. I've been trained to teach like this forever, right? Since day one, this is what you do, the reading, writing, and the arithmetic. And we're supposed to do things this way. And this is the way I was taught. This is the way I was trained. This is the way I teach. Can you tell us about the chatbot that you created to help with that, to help us think differently?
Sure. Yeah, I have a background in instructional design, and I teach teachers how to teach online classes. When I look at AI, the first thing that I do is look at it as an enabling tool for teachers using a technology called PlayLab. PlayLab is a custom chatbot tool, and it allows you to do a lot. Instead of using ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, those programs have inherent problems with them. We all know the problems, right? Bias, hallucinations, copyright and transparency. Whereas PlayLab is a custom chatbot tool. It uses those large language models as their engines, right? As its power. But what it does is it allows you to quarantine your information from the internet. So what you can do is you can upload textbooks or other materials and tell the chatbot to refer to those and get its information from those instead of using the internet. And so what that does is it drastically reduces any bias, any inaccuracies, and promotes copyright and transparency of where the information is coming from, right? Because you're feeding it the information that it's using. Some colleagues of ours use it for textbook chatbots, where you tell the chatbot to use the Socratic method and how students interact with it that way. So it's always asking the students questions about why they're asking things and how to learn things about it, but it's using the textbook, right? For example, if a student says, like, what is power? The textbook is not going to give them an electricity definition if it's in a Chicano studies class, right? It's going to give them a definition of power as it relates to sociology, right? So what I did was I created a chatbot that was an instructional design chatbot, and I uploaded all sorts of OER textbooks, so they're freely licensed. I can use them this way, and I loaded it full of great content about active learning, learning theory, and Bloom's taxonomy. All the stuff that you need to design a course, rubrics for online course design, the CVC's poker rubric, where you align your course to a very high quality online course design. And I loaded all these materials up, and I had created a chatbot that basically what it does is it takes your learning objectives. It'll ask you also for your assignment instructions if you have an old assignment that you are trying to redesign. And then it will provide you with a new assignment recommendation that is more AI resilient, more active learning, clearer. It'll give you the instructions that you can just copy and paste into Canvas or whatever learning management system you're using, and it'll provide you with rubrics. And the whole process, it guides you through. It'll ask you like, hey, do you like this? It'll cite its sources where it came up with this information in the textbooks that I uploaded. So if you want to learn more about why it's recommending something, you can dive into the textbook and look. It's helped me to design some assessments that are much more interactive and less likely for students to just rely upon AI to submit their coursework. So it's not a solution to all of our problems with AI for certainly, but it's a great step for helping you to redesign your course materials to be more clear and effective.
What I really like about it is that it gives us a start, right? I think one of the things when we start showing faculty, students, anybody is, hey, here's the AI, try using it, and then they take off on their own. We no longer need to, it's almost just here's the start. And yours does more than that. It really gives us great details.
Yeah, it's a great idea partner. You don't have to accept the assignment that it created for you. In fact, it encourages you to think critically about it and then interact with the tool to refine the assignment. Once it gives you the assignment, then that's a starting point. And then you can say, you know what, I really like this aspect, but I want to do this. Or I really like these instructions, but I want to do that. Or I like this rubric, but I want this kind of point system. Or I'm using contract grading, so I want to do it in this style. Then you can kind of go and refine it. And in fact, one of the fun things that I have used it for is that I have an online class that spans through May the 4th, right? So on the May the 4th, my assignments all turn to Star Wars themes. And I can do that really quickly because I take my assignment instructions and I just put them through and say, hey, make this a Star Wars theme, and boom, and it pop up right back up. And that takes me minutes. It's the same assignment. It's just using some Star Wars fun, right? You can make your personality kind of come out into the class a little bit more too. So it's reinvigorated the way that I teach, and it's a reinvigorated way that I've designed. And to be honest with you, I would not have had the time or the ability to do this without it. And so I've redesigned all sorts of classes with this tool. And just so you know, I actually created a course curriculum that I'll be offering at Santiago Canyon College called AI for Educators. That class is designed to teach you how to do all of this too. It should be fun.
May we get links to both the PlayLab, the bot you built, as well as to this class?
Sure, absolutely.
Cool. We'll make sure to link those. And I love this, what you just said about how you're able to inject some freshness into your class, right? Because Star Wars it's not about being AI resistant, it's being fun.
Being fun, it's personality, it's humanizing your classes.
It's really interesting where we are now able to use AI. We're able to use technology to actually build those closer connections that we didn't have time to do before, especially in online courses where they're purely online. Have you seen how some of that has been working?
And it's kind of a mixed bag. Like there's, some students will over rely on AI, and I teach educational technology. So when I'm teaching my future teachers ed tech, I teach them how to teach blended learning classes and how to use technology effectively in education. When AI came onto the scene, I'm like, it's my duty to teach them how to use AI as a teacher.
Right.
And so my class is really AI infused. And so I encourage them and require them to use AI in some of my assignments. And I find that they over rely on it sometimes in our discussions. You can kind of tell when somebody's using AI and when they're not. The conversation style changes. I had discussion boards before, but now my discussion boards, I'm eliminating a lot of them and making them more active learning assignment based and making them more collaborative and human, because connecting people together to work together seems to be much more beneficial than a discussion board. And using video discussions, using some of the tools that are built into our learning management system seem to be much more beneficial because I'm hearing from my students. And if they're not comfortable being on camera, that's fine too. They can create avatars and do it that way. But it's at least something that we have to consider when we're designing our curriculum is efficacy. Like if a computer is able to complete your learning objectives for your class without any sort of thought, what are we doing? We have to rethink our learning objectives.
I think it's really interesting the way you put it, that we have to rethink our learning objectives, in that some of these learning objectives have existed for decades, right? How do you think we can better support perhaps teachers who may be a little bit more anxious about the way AI is being adopted, the speed at which AI is moving, that it might just be a negative at this point where they might feel like I'm being discriminated against because I don't use AI and I want a more thoughtful way of integrating AI.
Yeah. Some people are not going to be comfortable using AI, and that's okay. I'm an AI power user, and I use it a lot for things you probably would never even guess how to use it. And it's amazing in what it's enabling me to do quickly. And it never gives me output that I am happy with, like right off the bat. I have to work with it, but it still makes me so much more effective. I love using it, but I'm deeply concerned about AI as well. I don't want to negate anybody's concerns about AI, because when you take this to, you can easily take this down a dystopian path, right? And, it's a super complex problem. And then when obviously, like, fast food chains are going to have robots flipping burgers, and, people are going to lose their jobs. But I think about it like this too. When I first started my college career, I'm dating myself here, but it's back in the days when I was using Windows 3.1 and then Windows 95 and then WordPerfect, and like, remember the first word processor had a ugly blue screen, and all my teachers were banning me from using it. And it was like, okay, so then the internet came out and professors were banning me from using it.
Right.
It was bad, and Wikipedia was the root of all evil. And the internet was going to make everybody stupid, and word processing evolved. Excel documents came on the scene. All of a sudden, databases came online, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, like, these tools are making people so much more effective. They're going to take everybody's jobs. And then fast forward, our IT department is gigantic at our college, and we have more staff all over our college than we ever had. Without computers, we just support people better, and we do our jobs better, and we do things better. So, like, I don't know how AI is going to evolve, but I don't think that it's going to be something that is a net negative on jobs. I think it'll be a net positive on jobs, but we're going to be elevated out of the mundane jobs, just like we have been elevated out of mundane jobs of doing long division. Instead, we use an Excel spreadsheet, or keeping track of students in a filing cabinet. Like, we don't do that anymore. And so we can evolve. And I think that we will, as a human species, I think we'll figure this problem out. I have faith in humanity.
Yeah, right.
And I have faith in AI as a tool. I don't think that everybody has to use it if they don't feel comfortable with it.
Nice.
But I think it is our job to teach our students how to use it ethically, because they're going to be required to use it in the workforce. And it's the same thing when the internet came out.
Mm-hmm.
That's our goal, I think, as educators, is that we need to effectively teach our students how to use these tools ethically and effectively so that they can compete in the workforce that they're going to be required to use when they graduate. So hoping that AI can help us figure that out, like, we don't have to do this alone.
Mm-hmm.
We can use AI to help us figure out how to promote deep learning rather than cheating, right? Ultimately, though, this is just the next invention, like the internet. It's going to evolve like the internet did.
Agreed. And one of the things I do is I actually do write on Wikipedia.
Oh, do you?
I helped a friend write an article on Wikipedia because she didn't have one. Her name is Jenna, and there's a federal law that is named after her that's being debated right now. And so created a Wikipedia page for her, and it took, I want to say, almost a year to get it cleared.
Oh, wow.
It took a long time, but also we didn't know what we're doing. And then, so what I do is I actually show students how to use Wikipedia, how to data mine it. And you should just see the looks on their faces of, oh my gosh, this is not completely forbidden, and how it can be a valuable and transparent source for data.
Well, I love Wikipedia, how you can dive in to something and think about it critically, but all of a sudden you've got resources like everywhere, and you click on those resources and find out where they're getting their information from, and then you can make a determination whether that information is accurate or not. Yeah, it's a great tool for research. I used it extensively when I was studying. Loved it.
And what you said about how AI, right? Because there's that fear of it. I agree with you, because I think humans are a lot more resilient than we're giving ourselves credit for.
Yeah.
And because of that, I don't think we're going to allow AI to go negative. I mean, think of all the technologies we have already.
Yeah. And I think also along that same line of thinking, cheating has never been something that wasn't a problem. It's always been a problem. And, AI has just democratized cheating, right? It's made it inexpensive to cheat. And so I'm not so concerned about those people who want to cheat, because there's always going to be the cheaters out there. There's always going to be the ones that are trying to cut corners, and they're always going to fail in the end. I think we need to really teach that agency to our students, like the importance of learning, the importance of hard work, the importance of grit, the importance of communication and humanity. And those who want to skirt that and still, have a diploma that is worthless to them, I don't know what to tell you, right? Like, the problem with AI is that it's virtually undetectable, and it's getting more and more so. We really need to focus on the outcomes. Like, did the student meet this objective? And if they did, then who cares what they used, right?
Yeah.
If that objective can be met with a computer output in seconds, what are we teaching?
Yeah.
Fundamentals, of course. We all need to learn to read and write. Like I said before, what are we doing? If there's a calculator available, why can't we use it?
Right. Coming from the Chinese kid, right? The calculator was verboten. Compare these two technologies kind of side by side and say, okay, in math, this represented a very big leap where we didn't have to use our fingers and toes. And, written calculations and Excel lets us do some quick calculations. And that allows us to run statistics, right? We have these programs that we don't have to calculate statistics by hand when we're doing quantitative research. We can take the survey data, drop it in, and help us pull the data out. And can you imagine doing that by hand?
Oh my gosh. We all know how, as educators, we all know how important data is. And data wasn't a thing when I first started my career. It just wasn't a thing, right? Like, we didn't have that data. We didn't have the ability to process data like that, like we do now. We didn't have demographics. We didn't have, we had just basically anecdotal stuff. But data-driven decision-making is very important in education. And yeah, you're right. Our ability to do that prior to the computer and calculators was almost nil. And it's so beneficial now. It can help us really guide our effective direction and give us a rudder for how to steer the ship, right? So hopefully AI will have a positive impact like that as well.
I love that idea. We can really, really be helping the students, right? This is the whole point of the mission of California community colleges, is to serve students in certain ways. And if the data allows us to do that faster and more efficiently and more effectively and in a more cost-effective way, that's actually really exciting to me.
Yeah, we all need to start thinking about AI as an assistive technology. If we rely upon it to do things for us, we're using it inappropriately. It's an assistive technology. It does things with us, and it does things to promote our ability to do things. So it's a tool I think we should all dive into and experience for sure. I know some folks won't want to, and that's okay too. But my outlook on it is really positive, just cautious, and trying to figure out how to teach those students those skills of hard work is going to be the challenge.
Agreed. Tell me how you think we as faculty, right, can
I think we certainly need to recognize a couple of hard truths about the way our students use AI. I was at a conference at Harvard, and because they were trying to be innovative and they were recognizing the power of ChatGPT at that time, they made a partnership with OpenAI to give their students ChatGPT for free to help them in their studies. And it was just an experiment. They wanted to see how students would use it. And then they anonymously surveyed their students about how they were using it. And the outcome was that their students purchased ChatGPT's Pro version and used that over the free version that they were getting because they didn't want their teachers to know how they were using it.
Privacy, yeah.
Privacy. And also, they didn't want to be accused of cheating. And they were very cautious about teachers knowing that they were using it. So they were scared.
Oh.
We have teachers that will put in all red, do not use AI, that's cheating. And all the way through to, well, these are the appropriate ways to use AI. And I encourage you to use AI in these ways. It runs the gambit. But students are fearful and they're not telling us how they're using it, but they're using it.
Right.
For us to turn a blind eye on how they're using it, I think really dangerous. We need to encourage and give our students an environment where they feel comfortable telling us how they're using it sharing with us how it's helping or not helping their learning, and having us be in an environment where we can react to that and be effective at what we're trying to accomplish. Yeah, there's some faculty driven adoption of AI on campuses for sure. Back in the day, there was like this graph. They called it digital divide. It's like this bell curve of like,
Right.
early adopters of technology and the laggards on the other side, right? And in the middle, I think it's following the same curve. You've got your early adopters. And I think, to be honest with you, I've noticed just anecdotally that folks with attention deficit are adopting AI because it's helping them with their learning and helping them to get to ideate and to get started. And it's an empowering tool for them. So they're your early adopters. And then I think that the middle will come in eventually, and you'll always have your laggards as well. So people that are really fearful or reluctant to take it on. So yeah, it's kind of following that digital divide curve, just like I think that anything does. But point being really that we really ought to focus on supporting our students and how they're using it rather than focusing on policies for our students, or because they're going to use it the way they're going to use it and we can't control it. So we might as well help them in a transparent way to use it, making sure that they're meeting our learning objectives instead of just wishing that they will.
You use the word transparency. I will literally sit down in front of my students and show students, this is how I would do this assignment if I were you using AI. And this is how I created this thing using AI. I'm guessing you do something similar where you show students where this is how I use it. This is me being transparent.
Yeah. And I also try and convey to folks that AI, no matter what you're doing, ask AI how you can do it better. Use AI to use AI, because like the thing is, like, I'll use AI and then the output I'll be like, okay, but then you start to realize that you can use it to help you use it. Let me give you an example. So creating custom chatbots, there's something called prompt engineering, right? And prompt engineering is where you tell your chatbot how to behave. You can say, hey, you are an expert in instructional design. You are a professor at a community college, and you are going to be designing an online class for students in educational technologies. That's your prompt. Then you continue with the prompt, like, I want you to do this. I don't want you to do that. Like, you could say, I just want you to refer to the materials that I'm uploading and give them answers based on that. Or you can say, use the Socratic method with me, or whatever you want to do, right? But there's a very specific prompting engineering that you can use to make your chatbot much more effective and clear. You can use negative prompting, like do not do this. You can use examples like one shot, two shot, or few shot prompting, where you can give it concrete examples of, like, that somebody asked you this is how I want you to respond, and give it an example. And you can continue to refine your prompt to be really more effective, to get your output to be much more accurate and much more dialed into what you're looking for. And that process takes a while, and it's complicated. One day I'm like, what am I doing? Why not use a chatbot to create my prompts?
Right.
So that's what I did. And so I started doing that, and it created really great prompts for me. So I would tell it, you are a prompt engineer. You're going to design a chatbot that I want you to do with this, that, the other thing. And boom, in seconds, it creates the prompts for me, right? So, like, start thinking about anything that you're doing, any task that you're doing that's taking you time. And if you don't even know how AI can help you, just ask AI, can you help me with this? Or what do you think about that? Or I'm having a problem with this. Could be a possible solution? Or I'm spending a lot of my day on this. Can you help me, like, streamline that? Use it as a thought partner and as, like, a personal assistant.
Yeah.
Really start to have a communication with it. And I'll give you another example. Recently, I applied for a fellowship position. I don't know if you did too. Did you?
Yes.
So I applied for the fellowship for the Digital Center. And so I hadn't updated my CV for years, right? Because I'm a tenured faculty member. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so I enjoy what I do. So I had no reason really to update my CV. And so I used ChatGPT and Claude to help me update my CV. And then at the end of it, I asked ChatGPT, I'm like, review my CV and point out anything that I may have left out of it that I should include based on what you know about me. Mm-hmm. And I've been using ChatGPT for a couple of years now. So it's like, it knows a lot about me. It knows a lot about me. Mm-hmm. Everything that I've worked on, all the workshops that I've done, all the initiatives that I've done that I've actually communicated with ChatGPT about, it started pointing out things that I'd forgotten about.
Whoa.
It goes, this is a really big project that you worked on. I think you should highlight it and put it in here. And then it just wrote it and updated my resume for me.
Nice.
Awesome. It's a little creepy when you start to think about the privacy issues of chatbots. I've kind of leaned into it because my life is fairly boring. So like, I don't, it's not going to be able to like bribe me with, private data or something and say, oh, you better tell me, it's not going to be able to ruin my life with boring stuff. So and I keep it professional, with ChatGPT. I try to use it as just a business partner, a thought partner and stuff like that. But yeah, the privacy issues are going to be a concern for sure.
I love what you just said because, I think everybody in our circle has applied for that, right? And right, and our circle of people that we know that work in AI at the California community colleges, and I think I took it a step further where I said, okay, if you were reviewing this based on the criteria on this page, what would you emphasize? What would you add? So I went back and did that version of it. It's like, what am I missing, right? Because you've seen your own CV for a long time. We kind of blank out at the pages towards the back because we haven't really thought of that for 5-10 years. So it was, so it was really kind of cool that we're able to use this as a fresh pair of eyes that works at, 2:00 in the morning for $20 a month.
Right. It's crazy the value we get out of it.
Yeah.
I know you're a power user too. And it's like, oh my gosh, the value for $20 it's unbelievable.
I think I told you last time how we're trying the pro version.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it found mistakes. Like it wasn't something I was writing, but I was doing kind of something with a group. And it figured out a mistake that I didn't even think about checking. Yeah, and if I had to pay a high-level researcher, that would, $200, how much time would I get with them?
Oh my gosh, right?
Right? Again, at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, I only have the $20 a month version, and I use it so much that I was kind of proud of myself. I was using the O1 engine before, which was the most powerful engine that they had before 4.5 beta came out. The O1, I had really good results with it. I really like the 4.5 engine now, but I was using the O1 engine, and by 10:30 a.m., I hit my limit. I hit my limit. ChatGPT told me, sorry, you can't use O1 anymore until a certain period of time, and it unlocks again because you've used it too much. Well, you can use the lesser engines, but if you'd like to use it, you'll have to upgrade to Pro.
Power user, dude, power user.
Oh man, it was so funny because I'd uploaded like some documents into it that were very lengthy documents. And, I was having to analyze the documents and pull information out, and it was doing some serious compute cycles.
What you just said with the documents, right? Because a lot of times, I talk about being English as my second language and legalese is scary, right? Contract language is, I was telling somebody that semicolons, I don't use semicolons in my writing because they kind of scare me. I don't know if it's an incomplete sentence, et cetera, right? And someone explained to us, it's like a soft period. I'm like, okay, but that's still one more rule for me to remember. And what I love about this is I can actually take some of these legalese documents, drop it in, and explain it to me. It's like, oh, that's what that means. And that's what that 40-letter word means.
Yeah. No, it's great at that. It's really great at that. It really helps out on a lot of things. The best way that I've ever heard explained a semicolon, by the way, it's two complete sentences that relate to each other, separated by a semicolon. So they're two complete sentences, but they relate together.
Cool.
That's when you use it.
Yeah, I know. My fear of the English language, right?
Right.
So I just kind of have a final question for you to consider is, where do you think we're going to be? Just even, where do what are your projects and where do you kind of wish AI could do for you? Like, what do you want to see AI do for you in the next 6 months to a year?
Yeah, I really think that AI is headed towards agents. There's going to be AI agents, right? So AI does a lot of different things and can do a lot of different things, but it's more powerful when you use it in a very targeted way, a very focused way. So I think that we're going to have agents that will do certain specific things for us. Those agents can be, we'll see it in businesses like in travel industry and like Amazon and all those agents that will be able to help you with things like shopping or things like vacation planning, things of that nature. And these agents are going to be able to help you connect, Like if you go on a vacation or something, it'll help you connect everything together like a travel agent, but it'll do it in seconds and pull pricing for you, book things for you, do all that stuff for you, and make sure that you have all the proper documentations you need and everything else. But think about also in our personal lives, I'm just waiting for, ChatGPT is good, but there's some other tools out there that are personal assistant tools that I'm trying to explore right now. And I really need a personal assistant that can spider through my emails, spider through Microsoft Teams, spider through all my daily life and work, and help me prioritize, help me checklist, help me draft, help me ideate, help me with next steps, help me extend and say, why aren't you doing this next?
Got it.
That's going to really empower me to be better than I can be on my own.
That's amazing. And I think what you said about how it's going to help us in academia, it's going to help us in our personal lives. And it's democratizing because, you have the elite, super wealthy people who have one or more personal assistants. I can do these things for them, making them more efficient. And this is something that's going to allow us to do so.
Absolutely.
Anything I didn't cover that we want to talk about?
I'll give one pro tip for everybody to consider. You can teach your chatbot how you write and how you communicate. Don't forget to do that because your writing style is important. It's your voice. Don't accept what the chatbot gives you right off the bat. Customize it to be your voice and customize it to be your style. There are some concerns out there that chatbots present us with information that we would never convey in that way. So be mindful of that. Be mindful of your voice. Make sure it's you. One of the ways that I do that is that anytime ChatGPT or whatever, Claude or whatever, gives me information, when I edit it, put it in my tone, my style. I copy that and I paste it back into ChatGPT and say, this is how I edit it to be more my voice and my style. Remember that for the future. And it gets better and better at my style. If you guys want to use my chatbot, we'll put it in your show notes, a link to my website. It's theaicampus.com. And you can use my chatbot right on the website to help you redesign your assessments. And there's lots of other helpful information on that website about AI in general. And if you ever want to contact me, feel free to contact me. We'll put my contact information in the notes too. I'm happy to answer any questions you'd have or help you with any specific AI issues you're having.
You are wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. It is such a pleasure and an honor to learn from you.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Innovating Higher Ed podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing and sharing it with your colleagues and friends. Be sure to join us for our next episode as we boldly explore new frontiers in educational innovation. We would like to thank one of our founding supporters for this episode, the largest system of higher education in the nation, the California Community Colleges.